there was a surge of sales, and I think I was in Tahoe with my family, and I looked at the Shopify and I was like, wow.
Welcome to yet another episode of Purpose Driven Progress. As always, I am your host, Jacob Hicks, success coach, sales coach, and speaker. And today, man, I feel like I say this all the time, but I've got a really, really great guest for you guys today. Because today I'm bringing on Lulu Wong, a software engineer turned creative entrepreneur who launched her own clothing brand out of a desire for more human connection and creative expression. After graduating with a computer science degree from Berkeley in 2020, Lulu pivoted from code to design, turning her artwork into apparel and selling it online and at conventions. Her early success, putting over 100 orders on Black Friday alone, came not from a massive platform, but from bold experimentation, influenced collaborations, and real-world hustle. Her story is a powerful reminder that your first idea doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to ship. Lulu, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jacob.
Yeah, so we're so excited to have you. So just kind of break it down for us a little bit here. So, because we cover a ton of ground in like 4 or 5 sentences in your intro. So, kind of take us back to the beginning here. How did you go from, studying computer science at Berkeley during COVID to pivoting super hard into clothing design?
Yeah. I guess to start with, my journey goes something like this. When I was in high school, I've always wanted to make games. That passion took me from being a game player to wanting to study computer science to be able to make my own interactive experiences. And at the time, I had a lot of art experience. I took art classes and I would self-teach myself how to draw digitally. I've been drawing since I was 11. And so my parents immigrated from China, actually, and we immigrated to Canada, which is where I grew up. And there wasn't a lot of opportunities to develop and study arts. So what I would do is I got a tablet and I would go on YouTube and I would watch these speed paint videos, and those would be super inspiring, and I would be inspired to create and inspired to make things like illustrations, character designs, games. I love to see all the different worlds that people could build with their art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I got inspired to study computer science, and I was like, well, maybe this is a way for me to, build upon my skills and make my own game for other people's play.
Mm-hmm.
So starting from there, I got my computer science degree after 4 years. And then at the same time, I was also doing art. And in the first year of university, I actually started going to anime conventions.
Cool.
And I would get these tables as an artist because they have these places it's called the Artist Alley.
Okay.
So essentially that's a place where creatives can go to sell their art. And so I discovered that, and I applied and got in and started selling my art. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. This is a way that artists can actually make money off of what they create.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was super inspiring. And after I graduated, I started my first job during COVID. And that was a very, very hectic and very difficult time, I would say, for everybody. And I just found myself very disconnected with my work and very disconnected with what I study.
Yeah.
And yeah, something about the fact that we were all just communicating online via Zoom or Teams just took me out of it. I was like, I don't really feel very connected to my team or my work. And it almost feels like my degree was a waste. Yeah, it's a very strong statement to make, but I definitely...
I was going to say, but you're probably not alone, I would say, in that.
Yeah. It's strange because I feel like at the time everyone was on TikTok and Instagram, and then they were starting to talk about how school wasn't even needed anymore at the time.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of a sentiment. So, well, I guess because I want to talk about your art more, right? Because I consider myself a creative in the sense that, I like creating new strategies and business ideas and those kind of things, right? My stuff is more abstract. I don't get to see I don't get to see a physical representation of what I'm creating, right? So, if there's any aspiring artists out there, and you kind of spoke to this a little bit, if there are any aspiring artists out there listening, what like what kind of advice would you give them? Because I mean, in my mind, I mean, it comes down to like just passion and then like the grit to just keep doing it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. So, continuing from that point, like starting a business in 2020 was a lot of just experimenting with Instagram and experimenting with like, okay, let me put my art on this shirt and print it and see if people would buy it. And just experimenting with different things. Just to create for the sake of creating, and don't worry about the results. And just put it out for someone to see. And sometimes you have a way to get results. You can sell it. You can see what people think of it. You can see how many people click on your post on Instagram, which is what I did starting off. And just try like different things, like giveaway campaigns, like working with influencers, reaching out to them, seeing if they're willing to model for you. And just like bootstrap and grassroots everything by yourself until you get enough visibility. And from there, you can start going to events, start selling in person. And I think that's actually how I started making sales, is just through like experimenting and creating different pieces and putting out posts like on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I love that. Well, and Lulu, you may not know this, but you said one of my favorite words in the world, which is experimentation, where you just try things and figure stuff out. And I think it's so interesting, like when it comes to like, social media presence, and then particularly in the art world, right? Where again, you have like that physical representation, like, hey, I painted this, or I drew this, or, whatever the case might be. And I'm curious because I talk about this a lot, like in my coaching practice, right? Where like in the business world, we kind of sometimes get this mindset where we want to appeal to everybody. We want everybody to like us. We want everybody to think that they need to buy our stuff, our service, our product, or whatever it is, right? But I feel like in the art world, it's almost a parallel, right? Where in the business world, you don't want everybody to buy you, like, because you don't make sense for everyone, right? And in the art world, I would imagine that it's probably pretty similar, where you have your own style and creative thought process that isn't going to appeal to everybody. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's niches that everyone's art fall into in terms of, who enjoys it and who would actually end up purchasing your art. But I would just say create for yourself. And, I think I saw this podcast or YouTube video from someone the other day, and they were just saying like, you are a merchant in the market of creators, and you deserve a place. You deserve to put your art out there for people to see. And no matter who resonates with it, or even if no one resonates with it, as long as you're expressing yourself, it's all that matters, because that's what creativity is all about.
100%. Well, and just doing the thing, like you said, and being consistent with it, right? Which I feel like can be, again, in the business world, in the professional world, and in the creative world, it can be difficult. Like life happens, right? And like maybe you have a crazy day and you're not able to, set aside the hour to, create like you normally would want to. How have you dealt with something like that? Do you feel like you kind of go in spurts or in surges where you're, creating a ton of different patterns and art and things over the course of a couple of days or weeks, then you kind of maybe fall off a little bit? Or do you try to be more like consistent day to day and week to week?
Yeah, I think that's the thing that different artists struggle with, actually. I found that there are a lot of days where you just don't get inspiration, and you just sit in your apartment or, go for a walk, and nothing hits you. And you're just stuck with like, I don't really want to create today. And that's fine. I think that when inspiration comes is when your art is truly valuable. And so, you can practice, actually. You can continue to practice daily or weekly, but that's really just for like the technical aspect of it, to brush up on your skills. But I think when inspiration hits, and it's not often, when it does hit is when you truly want to create.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So yeah, create when the inspiration strikes, but maybe, every other day, every couple of days or whatever it looks like, keep the skills sharp, right?
Yeah.
But I want to swing back around a little bit to like the clothing brand, because I think that's such an interesting idea, like to create art and then to put it on clothes, right? Which I suppose is what most clothes are anyway. But I mean, kind of walk us through like that process. What did that look like for you when you were kind of first getting going? And then tell us too about that, big Black Friday sale that you had too.
Yeah, for sure. So in 2020, I was extremely disillusioned with my job. And I started thinking like, what if I, experiment, like I said, what if I experiment with my art and see, if I put it on some clothing and I try selling it, what would happen? So I went through the steps of contacting manufacturers, like reaching out to these places that would print the shirts and experimenting with the idea of like maybe drop shipping, maybe, getting bulk orders. And I created a website, I created Instagram page, and I created some ads manager, Facebook ads manager. That's how you would advertise your stuff online.
Yeah.
Went through all that process and ended up focusing on my Instagram and on my website. And over time, I built an identity for the brand. And I kind of focused on it as if it was more of an idea rather than, okay, these are clothes that you want to buy. It's like, this is the idea I want to sell. So I started posting on a regular cadence. I would do drops as in, drops of different collections of clothing. And each time it would be a different design, different theme. And eventually I built up enough of a following. And there were people that would buy my clothes, from like June through November. And they would leave me these notes in their cards, in the shopping carts, that would be like, hey, I love your art. Thank you so much for creating this. And I felt like that was just so cool, like so amazing.
So validating.
Yeah, it was super validating for my art. And when November came around, I did not expect this, but I ran like this huge ad campaign. I started running like a 2-week-long ad campaign that was like building up to Black Friday. And when Black Friday came, there was a surge of sales. And I think I was in Tahoe with my family. And I looked at the Shopify and I was like, wow, we are getting like order after order. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Because this just means that, like the marketing campaign I was doing was working. And yeah, it was just super validating because at the time I just ran everything by myself. So yeah, I think definitely just experiment a lot. And eventually, if you're consistent enough with your posting and there's enough of a following for you, people will start to notice when you have sales going on. Because I think I took like 30% off that weekend, which is what made the sales go up.
I love that. So anybody listening, got to be consistent with it, consistent with the posting, consistent with social media. It can be a huge game changer, right? So there's another question that kind of springs to mind here, and I feel like you touched on something that could be really important here, and you were talking about brand identity, where like you start creating, you're creating your art, right? Then you decide, okay, well, I'm going to try putting it on some clothes, and you start posting regularly, start figuring some things out. So at what point in this whole process did you realize, or you start to realize that you started to understand your brand identity a little bit more?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So I'm someone who tried to push it from the start that we are this one thing. In fact, I actually did a lot of research before, and I asked friends like, what do you think about this name? What do you think about this design? And if they liked it or didn't like it, I would kind of like change it based on what they say. And I landed on this idea of yugen, which is this idea of ephemeral beauty.
Okay.
Just something that is beautiful one time and then it vanishes.
I love that.
Fades away. Yeah. And I kind of just revolved the brand identity around that. And because it was a Japanese concept and my art was anime inspired, I was able to create pieces that were pretty flexible around the idea. So even if it was not, flowery and wistful and ephemeral, like it could still be like cyberpunk. It could still be like gold and red and black and white. So just having like, I guess my idea is just having like a name that represents the brand that isn't too specific. Like it doesn't tie to one thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So something that's, like you said, like it's flexible. That, I mean, you can mean like a lot of different things depending on, what style or motif that you happen to be in. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. That's fantastic. So, As you've grown, you've grown this brand, you've grown this clothing line, you've grown like also as an artist too, right? What's been, some of the bigger challenges that you've had as you've grown the brand?
Yeah, I definitely think, oh man, the biggest challenge, the reason I actually started working on the brand less over time, was because, I think the more your brand gets noticed and the more opportunities of, you can go to these sales events, you meet these people in the community who are also selling their clothes. You meet other artists, you start to collaborate with people around the world. But then you start to notice you have to be very consistent with what you put out. And there's a point where if you're not consistent, people will fall off. Because you promised one thing, you promised to deliver like an identity, like an idea, and people buy that idea. And then if you just stop posting, or if you stop collaborating with the right kind of people, then your brand kind of just starts fading. So I definitely think the biggest challenge is just being consistent. And for me, the reason I couldn't hold on to that was I was the only person running a brand. And I think I just needed more people to come on and help me. But I didn't have that at the time. And so it definitely was a challenge. But by the end of the brand, I definitely think we made a lot of sales. We met a lot of really cool people in the community. And there were definitely friends who helped me sell in person at anime conventions.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it definitely was a journey that was worth it.
See, I think that's really, really great. And like, I feel like it's something that we can, as just people in the world, maybe in general, but specifically as like entrepreneurs and business people, we can overlook the fact that I think you really hit on there, where we build a brand, a business, our career, whatever it is. And sometimes we think that we just have to grow it to be, a gazillion dollars or whatever. And that's all well and good. But I think the more important thing here is that it has to fit our life too, right? And we don't want to be working, 20 hours a day for, 7 days, 8 days a week, because it's impossible, right? Like, you'll burn yourself out. So really understanding how your business fits into your life, I think is fantastic. Do you have any other tips with that? Because I'm sure that was probably, a more difficult decision to say like, hey, I don't want this thing to be, like Calvin Klein or anything wild.
Yeah, I think this is such an important thing. Actually, it's such a good question, because at some point I just realized like, hey, I'm not actually in this for the business. I'm actually more just in it to create art. And that was a turning point, because I met someone actually at the time who they wanted to help me grow my brand. And then for some reason, I was just opposed to the idea of like growing it for the money. And yeah, I think I just realized that like my values lie in creating rather than selling and growing a business. And yeah, everyone's different. I think there are people who definitely like that more. So just like discovering what you're in it for and your purpose that drives you to do this in the first place. That's super
100%. I love that. When I feel like, again, that's something that's so easy to overlook, where, again, we think we just need to blow it up super huge, which again, like there's nothing wrong with that, but understanding like who we are and what it is that we really want, and like what our vision is for the future. Like, I talk about it a ton on the podcast here, but like one of the very first exercises I do with like my coaching clients is a visioning exercise, because like to your point, like so many people don't really have an understanding of what it is that they really want, especially like long term, and like what kind of life do they truly want to lead, Yeah,
and sometimes you can figure it out on the way, for sure. But I think having that one, like North Star goal that you want to get towards is so important.
I love that. Oh my gosh, Lulu, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. You've been a fantastic guest. This was a great conversation. But as we kind of start wrapping up the episode, the last couple of questions here. So, we're almost, gosh, can't believe I'm saying this, but we're almost halfway through 2025 as of, our recording today. So like, what are the goals for the rest of 2025 for you?
Yeah, for me, yeah, thank you for asking the question, first of all, and happy mid 2025. I definitely feel like my next goal is writing a children's book.
I love it.
Yeah, right now I'm working on like my day job is a software engineer. I'm working at Meta right now, but on the side right now, I'm currently doing a lot of research. I went to a children's book today to like look at what the format is and like what kind of things are out there for children. Just want to do a lot of art storytelling and publish my own children's book. That's
so great. Well, listen, you've got all of our support. But if anybody out there either wants to connect with you or, like find out more about your art, where can they find you?
Yeah. So I have an Instagram. My art Instagram is luluw.art. And my personal is lemonlulu with an underscore between the O and the N. And otherwise, you can reach out via email, lulu.wang25@gmail.com. And yeah, I think that's, and then I also have LinkedIn. I don't know if that's relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll make sure to link all of that in the show notes so people can find you super easy. But Lulu, thank you again for coming on. This has been fantastic. And anybody listening, thank you guys for listening. Honestly, Sid, I know on behalf of myself and Lulu here, we really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day to listen to our conversation. I hope you guys got as much out of it as I did, and we will see you guys next time.